Well, that's chatter. And as we talked about in the end grain last week, that's a thing to be avoided in most circumstances. The length the tool hangs over the tool rest, the speed of the lathe, the pressure, sharpness, all those factors contribute to making something that we work really hard to avoid. Except today. Today we're going to talk about how chatter work can be used as a decorative technique. Let me show you some examples. Here's a series of small boxes, each one of which has been chattered in such a way as to create a decorative pattern. This one's done by Bonnie Klein, a well-known turner. She's chattered the inside. I'll get the lid screwed on here. Well, here's one I did in acrylic threaded. You can see the chatter pattern, but it's not on the outside. It's literally on the inside of the lid. So, how do we do that? How do we make these patterns in such a way that they can become a decorative element in our pieces? Well, let me show you some of the tools we use for doing that. There are a number of tools on the market, all of which consist of the same elements. There's a shaft here that's fairly stiff, and there's a reed out here that's designed to vibrate. And this reed, or piece of steel, thin steel, has been sharpened so it has an edge. In many cases, that reed is adjustable lengthwise. The longer it is, the difference in vibration and the lower the frequency of the pattern will be. So as you can see, there's a lot of different shapes. Well, the next question is, how do you use these? And how do they work? I bought one once, a long time ago, and I tried it and it just didn't work. And then somebody told me how to do it, and suddenly they started working again. So there's some tricks. There's also things about the wood that's important. If the wood is side grain, like this, it's not going to chatter very well. It's going to chatter across this, and when the end comes around, it's going to tear. So you want to chatter into end grain, if at all possible. Second, the more dense the wood is, the better the chatter pattern is going to be. If I have something coarse like this oak, I may be able to get a decent chatter pattern out of it. If I have something really dense like this acrylic, it's going to chatter really well. So woods like boxwood and other very, very dense fibered woods create wonderful chatter patterns. Soft woods like walnut, poplar do not chatter very well at all. Maple is right on the ragged edge. Sometimes I can get a good chatter pattern in rock maple, hard rock maple, and sometimes I can't. It's just almost hard enough. So let me show you how to do that, and we'll do a couple of them. I don't much use this tool. Because of this band, I have to get the rod pretty far away in order to use it. And I find the fatter the shaft is, the more it dampens vibration on this end and allows the reed to do its work down here. So this is not my favorite. For the same reason, this smaller one with this very light shaft also doesn't dampen the vibration enough. Both of these, as you see, the reed can be adjusted. That's a good thing. This one happens to be pointed. This one happens to be rounded on the end. I've seen them with square ends. I have a bag full of different reeds. This is Henry Taylor, very stiff shaft, adjustable reed. I don't know if you can hear that, but as I flip my finger over it, I can hear a musical sound. It means this thing is literally vibrating just from the touch of my fingers. That's going to work out really nice. This is one that I made using a piece of Schedule 80 pipe. And this actually is a piece of bandsaw blade that I cut and fitted into here. This is one of the latest ones out. What's nice about it, the handle's been bent and it makes it ergonomically easier to hold. I can't hear it very well, but we'll see how it works. Now, one thing, if you go in straight like this, you're not going to get a very good pattern. You need to really close the tool up to the wood surface like that. Now, I can't get it on the tool rest. The tool rest is too high. So what if I turn the whole rotation around? And there's that same closed angle, but instead of coming across here at 9 o'clock, I'm closing that reed up and I'm going to chatter down at this angle, about 7 o'clock if this was a clock face. So I'm going to put the tool rest in a convenient location on the metal shaft, and I'm going to work from the center down towards 7 o'clock, keeping that tool closed like that. Now before we start the tape, I came in here with my diamond hone and sharpened the edge on all of these. Not straight across, but at a slight angle so that the top edge is the sharpest part. So I made sure all of these were equally sharp. So let's try one, see what it looks like. So, speed, pressure, angle, the speed I draw it across the surface, all these different things I can do will affect the quality of that pattern. And if I really like it, I said, I'll do that again. Probably will not be able to repeat it at all. It's a very random process. Let's see what it looks like. Lays on at about, it's about 1700 RPM. And it's going to screech really loud, and that's really good. Ooh. The louder it screeches like that, the better off we are. So let's see what we did. Now, in order to make it more visible, I'm going to take a pencil. Just go across the surface here. What I've done is hit the top of the pattern, and the fibers below are not hit, so you can see the pattern a little bit better. It's also nice to set that off a little bit. We generally go back in with a diamond tool. Put a few little lines in to separate where the pattern may have changed a little bit. So there's some chatter work. So what we've done is simply use that one tool and run it down here at 7 o'clock. I can't go back. I can't do it again. That's end grain. Let's clean it up and let's do another one. I'm going to just cut that surface off. A little deeper. A different tool. Now the reed on this is shorter, it's thinner, the handle's shaped a little bit. I pulled it out so I have room to get my tool down in here. I needed a little space. Same RPM, different tool. Now I heard a higher pitched this time, which means the pattern's going to be a little closer together. That's just for illustration. I sometimes use a colored marker on some pieces. And there we can see the pattern changed here, here. So it might be useful to set that apart with just maybe a little. And the point of the diamond cuts is simply to break this into a couple of windows. I didn't get the pencil on it really well, but I think with the close-up camera you probably can see the pattern on here. Nice for the top of a box. Could be on the bottom of a project that you do something like this. Let's do one more. Erase. To do the best job, it'd be really nice to have this surface sanded and ready before you start your chatter work. So I have a smooth surface here, and there's some torn grain in the center, which is not going to chatter really well. Let's use, what tool have I not tried? Let's try this one. This has a point. And it has this band around here, which means I've got to get back behind that. This is a Sorby tool. Did you see the reed move? This wasn't totally tight. But I got a nice pattern on here. It's a tighter pattern, which means, since I haven't changed the speed on the lathe, that this reed was stiffer than one of the other ones, which vibrated at a higher pitch. So all the things we talked about avoiding last week are things we're encouraging and trying to control this week. If I wanted a pattern that was more open, I would have to make a change in one of these tools. It's not flat, but it's smooth. That's good enough. This has a really long reed on it. Let's see if it makes a lower, more open pattern. Nothing's changed here. Because it's a short shaft, I have to get this just about right. Change angle a little bit and try it again. Well, I see 1, 2 different patterns, and again, it's useful to put a frame around them. See what a chatter tool does. One of the things that works really nicely, as I said before, is chattering on acrylic. Because acrylic, like this piece here, is very tight-grained material. So if I do a chatter pattern on this, it's going to really show. So if you're doing anything in acrylic, boxes or something like that, you might find you'll get a really nice-looking pattern. I'm going to take this tool, do a little bit. And without coloring, well, I guess you really need to get close, but it would be useful if I set this off just a little bit. And a close-up shot on that will show you the pattern much better. And the lighting is coming in here, not helping. And my pencil probably won't color it up. But the idea is that if you're doing a project where you would like to illustrate the surface a little bit, there's a little bit of chatter work on the bottom of this piece. There's one band around here. It looks like it's flat, which means the reed on this was cut square across to create that pattern. Nothing inside, but just some illustration on the top of the box. Got another little box here. This is a one I think I showed earlier. But it has a really nice looking pattern, but it's not done on the outside. I did it on the inside. With the outside polish clear, it shows through really well, and it's not subject to being damaged by being abraded with fingers and stuff. So, useful technique, something to learn, something that you can practice with. This tool right here, I made. Shaft, bandsaw blade, handle, but make sure if you're going to build one that you have a stiff shaft and that you have some way of moving and adjusting the reed. I think the one I like the most right now is this one, only because the handle is ergonomically positioned in a very comfortable place. Has a really heavy-duty, thick shaft. KC Tools makes this one, sold through Craft Supply. Kip Christensen designed this particular one. And Jim Rodgers here. Sarby tool. And this one, which I also like because it's so thick and heavy, has a nice stiff handle. This is made by Henry Taylor, also available through Craft Supplies. The last one I had, I frankly don't know where I got this one. It is another commercial tool, but one whose source I don't recall. Anyway, something to practice with, something to try, something to decorate your end grain projects with, as long as you're working with something that has a fairly tight, stiff grain. Happy turning. We'll see you in the next lesson.